Today's Animal Spirits is brought to you by our friends at YCharts. I had a YCharts t-shirt on this morning. Pretty nice stuff.
You know what's funny? I wore
up?
YCharts a dry fit to my workout the other day.
Not to brag. They have good merch for them.
Merch.
YCharts has a new tear sheet builder, their report builder, and it basically allows you to have these different modules where you can create personalized tear sheets to hand out to prospects, clients, other advisors, and like one pager, which I'm a big fan of, right? Like just funnel it down for me. Make it simple, easy, one page.
If it can't fit on one page, it can fit on 2 pages.
Yes. Portrait or landscape. I don't know what you're a fan of. Do you care?
I like the...
if it's a one pager, it's got to be portrait.
I'm top to down, top to bottom. That's portrait,
yes.
right? Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Hot dog, not hamburger. That's how you teach the kids.
What?
Right? When you fold the paper, fold it lengthwise, it's hot dog. Fold it widthwise, it's a hamburger.
I don't get it.
Think about it. All right. Hit that link in the show notes. Go to your free trial at YCharts. Tell them Animal Spirits sent you 20% off your initial subscription when you sign up for the first time.
Welcome to Animal Spirits with Michael and Ben. I still don't get the hot dog hamburger analogy, but what I do
fold
know...
a piece of paper. When you fold it when it's up to top to bottom, you fold it and it's skinnier, so it's like a hot dog bun.
Right.
If you fold it from side to side, it's wider, so it's like a hamburger bun.
All right, if you say so.
You never got that analogy in school?
Nah.
All right. They didn't teach that at Indiana, I guess.
Should the Fed cuts rates? Ben, I went to Trader Joe's over the weekend. Actually, I went to Trader Joe's. I was wearing a Tropical Bros shirt. Not this one. I was wearing one that I never worn before. It's got flamingos on it. And you and I were just talking the other day about how Tropical Bros is a great conversation starter, and it's just great looking and comfortable and all the other accolades it deserves. But the guy at the counter said to me, "Great shirt." And listen, I'd say 90% of the time that I wear a Tropical Bros shirt, I get a comment, probably rounds closer to 100. But he goes, "That shirt looks like where I want to be." And I said, "I agree. Great shirts."
Sure. So now we have a collab at Tropical Bros.
Oh yeah, we do have a collab. Compound Media has its own Tropical Bros collab. But Trader Joe's, okay. So I checked out, and here's what I got from Trader Joe's. I got a pint of yogurt, plain yogurt. I like to use it in my smoothies. I got 2 bags of chips, the delicious corn chips from Trader Joe's. Do you have Trader Joe's in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I got one right down by the street from my office.
You know the great corn chips are like Fritos?
Okay. Never had them before, but sure.
You should. So 2 bags of chips, pico de gallo, hummus, and a thing of donuts. Guess how much that was?
I don't know. You just named a lot of stuff. Are you trying to go viral here with this
Exactly.
one?
I named a lot of stuff, and it was $27.
Okay.
Again, to reiterate, yogurt, 2 bags of chips, 2 dips, donuts, $27. And I thought, it's over. Inflation is over. Food's been a lingering issue.
That sounds about right to me.
That price? All right, well, it sounds reasonable. How about this? Sounds right, reasonable?
Most of the smarter economic minds that I follow that are like more of the sober variety, I feel like are saying, you know what, I think it's just time to rip the Band-Aid off and cut rates. Cullen Roche had a piece at Discipline Funds this weekend. He says, if Thursday's relatively high jobless claims future persists through this year, then we're likely to trigger a recession warning according to his metric that he follows where, the trends are going in the wrong direction. There are numerous other signs that cutting could be appropriate. Rising unemployment, rising claims, falling hourly earnings, and core PCE that is likely to be at 2.55% in May. He's saying we're close enough to the 2% target. Let's not get cute here. Let's just do it.
I don't understand. I was talking about this last week, and I don't think I was emphatic enough on the show on TCAF, saying, why won't Powell just give an inch? He's acting like it's still stubbornly high. No, it's not. No, it is not. It's time to cut.
I also think the cutting of the rates is also a signal that, hey, we won. We beat this thing. Nothing's ever over when it comes to the markets of the economy, but
when we discussed earlier in the year, maybe it was even last year, I understood the rationale. Listen, we're so close. You don't want to spike the ball on the 1 yard line. But at this point, I think we scored a touchdown.
And I still feel that the Fed in the future is probably going to get more credit than they deserve. I think the economy was so strong that it saved the Fed. Remember, they wanted to put people out of a job and it didn't happen. But
Yeah.
at this point, the unemployment rate is rising a little bit. Things are still, people will use anecdotes, say, no way, the Fed, they can't cut rates. This is crazy. But even if they cut rates 25, 50, 75 basis points in the coming months, rates are still relatively high from what they've been for the past 20 years.
Ben, last week you were talking about people that have been bearish, were bearish during the GFC and are still bearish, and they just can't let it go. Credit to Steve Eisman from The Big Short. He's been talking about how incredibly dynamic the U.S. economy is, and that and the AI revolution has held up the economy. He's like one of the rare ones that got out.
It is. And yeah, I don't think cutting rates doesn't necessarily have to mean the economy is tanking and we're going to go into a financial crisis. I think it's just following what's going on. So Apartment List had this national rent inflation, and it's been negative for, I don't know, 6 or 8 months now. If you look at the year-over-year change in rent, which would probably surprise some people, and they're comparing it to the actual CPI rent, which, as we've talked about, is a different calculation because that is backward-looking, and this is using current data. Connor Sen quoted something from RealPage. The U.S. median rent income ratio for market rate apartments has recorded 15 straight months of decline. From a purely rent-to-income based perspective, rents are now at their most affordable level since January 2021.
I feel like that's big news.
It is big news. So rents have been slowly declining. Incomes have continued to go up, meaning it's more affordable now. And this is where the inflation numbers don't take it into account. And Jeremy Schwartz, our friend at Wisdom Tree, has been talking about this for months and months and months. That if you put the actual rent inflation, what it is now, for that CPI component, because that's the biggest part, inflation looks pretty darn low still.
Under
That's
2%.
That's the case to cut.
At the Fed's target. So why would they remain restrictive?
Well, GameStop, right? People use these anecdotes of, well, of course, I know.
I just rolled my eyes big time. Come on. No, really, what are they doing?
I don't know. Matthew Klein had a piece about this. U.S. CPI rose 0.006% between April and May. Essentially didn't rise at all. He said, moreover, disinflation is broad-based. While a few categories experienced notable declines like airfares, subscriptions, computer software, and gasoline, each of which fell by almost 4%, the really notable feature of the latest data is that there were so few categories that rose by very much, if at all. So, yeah, I agree. I think it's okay for the Fed to take a little bit of a victory lap, even if they'll never do that. But I think that first cut is the sign, like, hey, we won.
Ben, would you allow me a thought experiment that sounds incredibly toppy and will likely draw the ire of some listeners?
Yes, because every anecdote has to be a top or a bottom, right?
No, but this one's going to do it.
Okay.
So since the great financial crisis and outside of the COVID induced recession, how many recessions have there been over the last 15 years?
One that lasted for 2 months?
Which one? I'm saying take the COVID one out.
Oh, take it out. Well, there's been none.
Okay.
Since the GFC, which is interesting, like counterfactual. Would we have had a recession in like 2020 or 2021, short of the COVID pandemic happening? Anyway, keep going.
So a little thought experiment. I know recessions are natural, inevitable, I would go as far to say. What if we just keep cruising for like another 10 years?
10 years seems like a bit much, but it's, I don't know. It's happened in a place like Australia before.
What if the AI revolution is even 50% as big as people say it's going to be, and we just ride this wave for now? The clear and obvious, hey asshole, is we're going to get a bubble and a burst.
Yes, the AI bubble boom is what would actually cause the recession, because it would cause excesses, and that's what people don't understand, is that recessions are typically caused from excesses in the economy. And so the AI boom, if it happens, the bigger boom would be the thing that causes the excesses and causes the recession.
Well, that's such a good point. So, yeah, I forget who said this. I used to hear Mark Dow say it. I don't know if you made this up, but you don't break a leg jumping out of the first floor
right
window. And that's sort of been the story of the economy over the last 15 years. It's been pretty steady, humming along, far from blistering growth. But what if we continue?
I think the sentiment would improve too if the Fed signal we're going to cut rates, and we're going to do it. We're going to be data dependent still, and we're not going to like cut back to zero, but we're going to slowly but surely bring rates down. I feel like American consumers hate high interest rates almost as much as I hate high inflation, because we love to borrow and spend in this country.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy to say that there will be rolling recessions, as there always are. There's always some industries that are struggling. But all right, no recession in the next 5 years. Plus 350, higher, lower, making that number up.
I would probably take those odds.
Meaning you would bet you would hit that. You would bet that. Plus 350, you would, yeah.
Pretty good, I think. I'd say benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise.
No, I think you're misunderstanding. I'm saying, what are the odds that there won't be a recession in the next 5 years?
Oh yeah. So I'm saying if you give me plus 350 for no recession, I'd take it.
Oh, you would take that. Okay.
I think that's pretty good odds.
Okay.
All right. From Axios, 2024 will be the U.S. restaurant industry's biggest year ever in sales. Remember when there was thought pieces in 2020 that like 50% of all restaurants are going under?
Yeah.
I tended to like actually give some credence to that.
But wait, a lot of restaurants did disappear.
Yeah, I don't think as many as people thought. So it's $1.1 trillion in restaurant sales, up from $864 billion in 2019. And there was a big drop off, obviously. And now it looks like, I don't know, we're back on some sort of trend. But that's one thing that you've always talked about. Like, you can't compare current spending to pre-pandemic spending because people have changed their habits. And this seems like one of the areas where a lot of people have changed is just going out to eat more and not caring about the prices, because we all know the prices are way higher at any restaurant you go to.
How often do you order in a week versus cook?
I feel like we've been cooking more lately, but I mean, we probably order in more for the kids than for us.
I mean, the thing is, once you factor in, now it's impossible to argue that cooking is not cheaper than going out. But once you factor in going to the grocery store, preparing.
Yeah, it's convenience. You're paying for convenience and time.
Right.
Especially with kids. This is why I always say the best thing that's ever happened to families is the $5 pizza at Little Caesars. Hot and ready. It's my kid's favorite pizza.
They still offer that $5?
It's like $5.55 now. Sacrilegious for New York people, but it's for some reason my kids, it's their favorite pizza, Little Caesars.
I do enjoy cooking, but man, just ordering is so much easier.
See, I don't really cook. My wife does all the cooking, so she handles all that. But
I tell you some of my family responsibilities. I dominate the kitchen. Robin is nowhere to be seen. She doesn't do the dishes. She doesn't unload the dishes. She doesn't cook. Now, she does a lot of other things. But inside the kitchen, that's my domain. And I can't believe that became my domain. You should see how I love the dishwasher. It's like a bomb went off. I just throw dishes in there.
You've sent pictures before. This is where I shine. I'm the clean, organized freak. So my wife does all the cooking. I do the cleaning. I handle the dishes, and I can get everything to fit in there nicely. And it's all, it goes in the same level or row every time. Everything's neat, in order. I make that dishwasher. Yeah, I know what I'm doing. That's where I help. All right. Torsten Slok, chart of the week. He shows the decile PE ratio for the S&P 500. And the highest decile, meaning the biggest companies, have the highest PE ratio. The lowest decile, meaning the smallest companies, have the lowest PE ratio. And it's kind of funny because my entire career starting out, I read all the value books you could want. Warren Buffett, Benjamin Graham, Howard Marks. The price is what you get, value, or what is it? Like price is what you pay, value is what you get. There are no such thing as bad investments, only bad prices. Valuation matters eventually. And it seems like a lot of that has been shoved to the side and like, actually, we buy these compounders and you pay up for quality because those quality businesses deserve a higher multiple.
Second level thinking has cost me a lot of money. I got to be honest.
So my question is, when is this going to matter again?
Be specific. What do you mean?
Valuations, because it did matter after the dot-com bubble blew up and value and quality and dividend strategies went on an amazing run. People still somehow forget that the NASDAQ had a Great Depression level nuclear bomb go off and it fell more than 80% following the dot-com bubble. It was the S&P got cut in half. The NASDAQ was down more than 80%.
Yeah.
But and value strategies did really well the first decade of the 2000s, and feels like since then it's growth and these companies have done much, much better. My point is just when will stocks with lower valuations, when will they outperform for a meaningful
well,
period of time.
That I don't know. I'll tell you when this will matter, and this is not a helpful answer. It's when the growth rates disappoint investors.
Yeah, it's an expectations thing, right? That's the whole.
The thing is, and you can't argue otherwise, as high as the expectations have been, fundamentals have done even better. Fundamentals have exceeded. That's why these stocks keep moving higher.
Yeah. And they've totally done better than you would imagine. We were sharing charts today. Apple was trading for a sub 10 P ratio in 2016. So some of these were low valuation companies. Not all of them have been high valuation the whole time. So I got interested in the market cap rankings after looking at these deciles, and I had our chart guy put this together for us. And I was tempted to do a pie chart like your infamous pie chart back in the day and just show all the tiny little slices. Remember you had, and it just went viral.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
But I did a bar chart instead. And because I just did a quick scroll. I pulled up all the S&P 500 stocks by market cap from YCharts and I exported it. And there's way more smallish companies than you would think. It really is a tail kind of event with the Apples and Microsofts and Nvidias of the world. So I looked, over 400 of these companies in the S&P have a market cap below 100 billion.
I mean, that's 100 billion. 100 billion is gigantic. It's kind of funny that that's now you're considering that small.
So, but the bottom, like 60% of companies are 45 billion and below. The smallest one is 6 billion. I mean, I'm just saying that the size of the multiple of these largest companies to the other companies is enormous.
Yeah.
You're saying 100 million is still pretty big, but
no, 100 billion.
100 billion is pretty big, but compare that to 3 trillion. And that's my point, is that the biggest ones are so much bigger than all these other companies. Like they're not even in the same ballpark.
If you look at the price to sales ratio for Apple, in the 2010s, it fluctuated between 2.5 times on the low end and 4.5 times on the upper end. And then it just completely busted out of that range. And I'm not saying price to sales is necessarily the right metric, but just to show you where it's traded at. And now, just this past week or past month, it's busted out to an all-time high of 9 times. Now, obviously, that's anticipation and hope of the upgrade cycle and the AI and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, expectations are continuing to creep ever higher.
I don't have it yet, but I'm going to also show the performance by these deciles. And I'm guessing the chart would look exactly the same.
Yeah,
where
of course.
The lowest valuations have seen the lowest returns and the highest. My point is, unless investing has fundamentally changed forever, this is going to matter at some point. I just don't know when. It has to, right?
Yeah, you are going out on a limb.
Well, it seems like some people are thinking, though, that like, no, it's never going to matter anymore. I think there is a cohort of people who really think this. Like valuations literally don't matter anymore. You don't think that's a thing that...
I don't think you would get anybody to say that out loud. Now they're behaving as if it doesn't matter. And guess what? Guess what? That's been rewarded. So why wouldn't they?
The meme of the guy throwing away the Intelligent Investor book, I feel like a lot of people have really taken that to heart.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, wild stuff. Eric Soda tweeted, in the past 21 quarters of earnings calls, which goes back to 2019, this quarter marks the 4th fewest number of times the word recession has been mentioned.
Every time you say Eric Soda, I take a sip of my Coke Zero.
And my pamplemousse.
Is that really what it's called? Okay.
You know, it is interesting how brands come in and go out of favor. I saw somebody tweet a chart of, like, where did LaCroix come from? I don't know. One day it was here.
That's true. Who owns them? I have no idea. Someone. Does Coca-Cola own them?
That's a great question.
Pepsi?
Google it. Google it while I'm talking. Okay. I saw somebody tweet a chart of the company Burberry and the drawdown that stock is in. You're a fashion guy. Remember that brand?
Oh, yeah. With the brown scarves and such,
with like the brown plaid. It used to be a very, very popular, super high-end luxury brand, and it's in like a 50, 60% drawdown. I don't know what happened to it, but it just got me to thinking about, like, man, brands are, it's a fickle thing. Like, as strong as some brands are globally dominant, like, nothing's permanent.
Yeah. National Beverage Corp, ticker Fizz, Fizz.
Oh. And is that the Fizz. I remember people tweeting about that.
Whoa, they own Faygo? That's a Midwest staple right there.
What's Faygo?
Faygo is a pop brand that never really took off, but...
How do you spell it?
Faygo, like Rock and Rye. That was a great... If you want to have a nice soda pop. I feel like it's a Midwest thing. I didn't even know it existed still.
This looks like you ever see the brand Tab? My first grade teacher used to drink that all the time.
You know what one of the greatest pops growing up? Remember Tahitian Treat?
No.
It was like a red with a palm trees on. Oh, used to love Tahitian Treat.
My favorite throwback soda, hold on, I'm Googling this. Tahitian Treat. My favorite throwback soda is Cherry 7-Up.
Okay, that's not bad.
Tahitian Treat. What the No, I've never seen this. This looks like something you get.
I can't imagine how much sugar was in that thing.
Yeah. All right, I think we went far off track here. All right, so anyway, getting back to recessions. I don't know how we got to where I was, but getting back to recessions. It's over. Mission accomplished.
Yes.
I'm not saying that they need to go from 5.25 down to 3, but start the process.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do it. Rip the Band-Aid off.
I mean, at this point, imagine just remaining too tight for too long and creating a recession.
If they fumble the ball on the goal line, yes.
Just come on.
I think that seems like a bigger risk to me. Ned Davis Research has net worth to personal disposable income, the ratio. And this looks like a chart of Apple's PE ratio, I guess. So they say the value of equities and household real estate have substantially contributed to the surge in net worth, obviously, which stands at a remarkable 6.7 times disposable income. And look at how much lower it was in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s as well. It's so far off the chart now how much wealthier people are. And I've never been a big believer in the wealth effect, but this is like unlike anything we've ever seen before. So how does this change people's behavior? Or does it? It has to.
Yeah, Josh and I have been talking about this a lot. It's sort of like a circular argument. Like, I think people are more driven by their income than by their net worth. But
that I agree with.
But your net worth would be at an all-time high in a good economy when your income is also doing well.
How about this? There will be, we've already talked about stats about baby boomers, more baby boomers retiring than you'd expect from the trend. There's going to be way more baby boomers retiring in the years ahead than otherwise would have happened because they look at their bottom line and they say, really, I'm going to wait it out 3 more years? Yeah. I've got enough money. I'm fine.
Yeah, that's for sure. Look at this next chart. I only included this. It's showing household net worth by different generation. I know we've spoken a lot about this, but they slipped a generation in here that I've never heard of before. It's millennial, Gen X, boomers, and then traditionalist. Did they just make up a...
I thought they called that the silent generation above the baby boomers.
I've heard of silent. That's pre-boomers, right?
Yeah.
What is traditionalist? Is that the same thing?
It sounds like some sort of cult that they made up on a TV show. Nope, never heard of it.
Never heard of it.
So that money goes to the baby boomers, which eventually goes to the millennials.
Yeah. Vlad Tenev from Robinhood tweeted that they surpassed $20 billion in overnight trading volume since launching their 24-hour market last year.
How's Robinhood doing? I feel like you were
really well
dipping your toes in the water there for a while.
I wish.
Okay, so this was like a $10 stock forever, it seems like, or sub 10, and now it's above 20. So it has done pretty well the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is probably the...
And still in a huge drawdown from the IPO price and from the initial spike, but yeah, so that's a stock that's come back.
People just love betting and gambling, and I'll skip ahead to that baseball gambling story. Ben, you're gonna love this. All right, were we talking before we started about your Little League coaching this afternoon?
Oh, I'm not coaching. I know nothing about baseball, but my son.
Let's be honest. You don't need to know anything to coach 7-year-olds. This
is true. Although the guys who coach my son are very serious. They're like sons of coaches. So they're like, no, put your back foot this way. It's stuff that I wouldn't know about. But he's playing in the 1st and 2nd grade championship game today. So big game in our household. Okay. I didn't even, before the season started, I had no idea there was even playoffs. And we're like, yes, season's done. And they're like, nope, 3 more playoff games. So
good luck.
But we're in the championship. Thank you.
All right, my friends sent this to me. I don't know if this is real or not. It looks like it's on Reddit. Betting on my kids' Little League baseball games, question mark, is the subject. So for any of you who have kids that play Little League baseball games, you're aware of how mind-numbingly exhausting these games can be. It's so difficult watching from the stands as little Timmy pitches his 11th straight 4-pitch walk in a row. That being said, me and a couple of the other dads decided to make the games more fun if we had some action on them. Pretty standard bets to start. Who wins the game, number of strikeouts, how many errors Tyler will have within the first 3 innings at catcher, etc. Lo and behold, the idea has really started taking off. Every game I go to now is spent collecting cash and tracking bets. I'm sure this is fake, but it's still funny.
The wise would kill these guys.
I hardly have time to watch. Another problem is that I've stopped caring about my own child's performance. Hell, half the time I'm actively rooting against him. Anyways, I'm wondering if anyone has suggestions on easier ways to track the bets, perhaps a site that will do it for me. I would say that what I'm doing is a little immoral, but with playoffs coming up, the amount of money to be made is huge. Any advice is appreciated.
It is pretty funny. And this would be it would be impossible for the little kids to throw these kind of things because they're not smart enough to do that. But
any chance this is real?
Probably. Again, some of the other parents would shut it down, but if it was real, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, but he's not wrong. Baseball is sort of boring. In fact, it's incredibly boring. Who's kidding who?
Yes. Somehow it's my son's favorite sport, but it's kind of fun but ours has they have like a set amount of time. Like the games have to be done within an hour or they're done. So that I like.
An hour. That's phenomenal.
I'm a little concerned about if he gets older and keeps wanting to play the double headers and such. That'll be tough to stomach, but this is what we do. All right, I want to talk about AI. So I just think it's funny how quickly the narratives shift. And this is just something that happens in society in general, like in large, I guess. But for a while it was, geez, ChatGPT came out. Google is done. They're finished. They're behind the 8 ball. Did you see this product they released? It stinks. And then I was like, whoa, actually Google's okay. They've got an AI strategy. And Apple is done. They have no AI strategy. They're amateurs. And it's kind of funny because last week Apple had a huge pop and some people were claiming that Ben Thompson was the reason. He wrote a piece at Stratechery that was saying Apple Intelligence he gave it very positive glowing reviews and like saying this could be very good for them. And his point was, in his article, I don't know if you read this, but he said, when you watch the movie Her, which is always my favorite AI example, like that's all I want from AI, give me the assistant in my ear. He's saying, even in a movie like that that's trying to look at the future and think about what this could be someday, you needed hardware to actually interact with the AI. And he's like, if Apple is the way that hardware is interacted through, they have to be a winner. If you're using your AirPods and your iPhone to interact with the AI, Apple just has to come out of this like, okay, at least, right? That was his whole point. And apparently right after his column came out, that's when the stock took off.
Ben Thompson added $79 billion to Apple's market cap in 20 minutes.
Right? But I was thinking, a couple weeks ago, I said, what are the best AI hedges for if the boom busts? And you said, oh, that's crazy. We can't think that far ahead yet. But isn't it just, with these bigger companies getting so much bigger, isn't the simple answer just small caps, mid caps, value, quality, dividends, international stocks, whatever, anything but the NASDAQ 100 heavy concentration? Isn't it just anything that breaks the market cap, that's your AI hedge? Because these bigger companies are obviously the ones that are going to, at least for now, be the beneficiaries.
Yeah, I've started to hear anecdotes. People that should not be asking about NVIDIA.
Right.
Yes,
I hear a lot of that too.
And the reason why those anecdotes, whatever, we all know what they are. But at some point, like, really and truly, who's left to buy?
Right.
When they start coming from people that you're like, oh, if that person has heard about it.
Yes, I agree. There's rumblings of that. I don't like to make investment decisions of that, but it's something. It's not nothing. Crypto?
All right. Ben, I have a question for you. With all of the money that's coming into crypto in terms of the flows, and by the way, we did a podcast with the Bankless guys that we released on YouTube on Saturday. I think it's also on our feed, but it's on YouTube as well if you want to check it out. It was a really fun conversation. With all the
that was a more fun conversation than I thought, but it was podcast versus podcast, which was fun.
It was good. With all of the money that's come into the ETF and everything else like that, why hasn't the price of the coins done better? And it's a question that I just, I don't know enough to have an intelligent answer for, because you would think, like, with all this buying pressure, right? Why isn't the price doing better?
Right. So we had the run up, and then it's kind of slowed from there and just kind of treaded water, but not any further, even though more money's coming in.
So Jim Bianco tweeted something from JP Morgan. JP Morgan is basically saying that a lot of the money that's come into the space is a rotation from existing digital wallets on exchanges. So it's saying that it's not necessarily new money coming in. It's left pocket, right pocket type of situation.
Oh, so people would say, why would I have my own cold storage thing if I can just put it in an ETF?
I guess, yeah.
Okay, I can see. Someone actually emailed us and asked, hey, I'm thinking about buying Bitcoin for the first time. What do you think about me buying it on an exchange versus buying it and holding it myself or buying the ETF? And to me, it's a no-brainer answer. You buy the ETF through a financial intermediary and let them worry about the risk of holding it.
Yeah.
Right?
The only thing that I would say to that is if Bitcoin crashes over the weekend and you want to add to it, you can't do that through an ETF.
True. So, yeah. Do you think Robinhood would not want to add ETF overnight trading then, because you can buy Bitcoin straight through Robinhood?
I don't know if they do ETF overnight trading for crypto. I just don't know. Maybe they do.
Yeah, they probably should. All right, latest. Heyo. Latest. Do you get perturbed if someone doesn't say "God bless you" after you sneeze?
Oh, there's an interesting question. God bless you etiquette. Well, all right. If somebody sneezes once, God bless you. They sneeze again, 50-50. The third time you're out. You only say God bless you twice at times.
I'd say once. More than that, it's overkill. You can't say God bless you twice.
Is it annoying if the person says God bless you every single time if you're in a sneezing fit? It's like, all right, relax with the God bless yous. Thank you.
Yeah, you're trying too hard. All right, latest Redfin report shows that the median house was up 4.4%.
By the way, speaking of this, can I just say now is maybe a good time to read this email that we got?
Okay.
About Ben.
Oh.
Awesome as always. One question. Is Ben the kindest and most gentle hater out there? Maybe. Think about it. It's like a sneak attack. One day you wake up and realize Ben hates almost everything about you, but he still seems super nice.
So on like the player haters ball for Chappelle show, I'd be like the nice one, hating on people with kindness. This email did make me laugh a lot.
Spoiler, that wasn't an email. It came from one of our employees.
That's fair.
It came from Eric.
All right. That's fair.
Well, and in Ben's defense, Eric drives a big car. So Ben's kicked him a few times.
Listen, yes. Eric lives in Texas. He has to drive a truck. That's like, there's a contractually obligated. So.
You insulted him a little bit.
I don't hate truck people. I hate the fact that they take up too much parking real estate. It's really hard to park with all the trucks in the lots. All right. Home prices up 4.4% year over year through June. Another record, obviously. And this stuff is seasonal. It usually goes up through the summer, then it backtracks a little bit through seasonality. Is there anything, so they said all prices are declining in a few places, Austin and Fort Worth and San Antonio and Portland, so a few places. But short of like the great financial crisis like situation or all the baby boomers dying off in the 2030s, are there any like realistic scenarios that would cause housing prices to fall on a meaningful basis right now? Because I can't think of any.
Sorry.
Good podcast idea. What are you eating?
Sorry. Listen, I sneezed twice and I grabbed the airborne just in case.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
It's probably seasonal allergies, but a little extra vitamin C never hurt anybody.
All right.
What if rates fall and there's an unlock of supply? Now, we know demand is what it is. It's always going to be there with the demographic situation. But is it possible that enough supply is unlocked to push prices lower? I think that's probably being a little bit too cute, but possible.
Yeah, I think it would be an unlock of demand too. I think that's the problem. Is falling rates would unlock a lot of demand as well. Like people.
But demand hasn't gone anywhere unless you say that people have stopped shopping because there is no supply. That could be.
And people who live in a house right now would say, I don't want to move somewhere and pay a 7% mortgage rate, but if it gets to 5, then you go.
If rates fell.
Yeah, but I'm saying in that scenario, you'd be wanting more people who'd want to buy.
I understand, but I'm saying it's not impossible to see rates fall and prices fall. It's not impossible.
It's pretty hard. I think it'd be pretty hard. Look, so this
is from plus 460.
I just don't see it. Justin Fox created this report that shows Americans are still adventurous. They just hate moving. And he shows the percentage of Americans who move each year keeps falling, with the lowest on record 7.8% of U.S. residents reporting to the Census Bureau in the spring 2023 that lived in a different place than they had a year earlier. This was in the 20% range or so from the late 40s through the early 1980s and has slowly declined ever since.
Yeah, moving stinks. But also, it's not just the houses are also getting better. Right? We spoke about this a million times. Starter homes are just not really a thing anymore.
I think that's part of it. Do you also think that this could help explain the further travel boom happening? Like, instead of moving somewhere and being more adventurous that way, I'm just going to travel more and get out, get away more. Too cute? Okay.
When's the last time you moved? When did you move into your house?
2017. It's easy because we moved. It's easy for me to know because my twins turned 7 this year, and we moved when they were a month old to a bigger house.
What would have to happen for you to move right now? Something drastic.
Very drastic. As far as I'm concerned, we'll be in the house till at least the kids are all out of high school.
So I wish I bought a home on the water because I guess when I moved, I didn't know that I would be a water guy. But guess what? I'm not moving. Even if rates were to fall, I'm still not moving. It's too much.
You're close enough to the water as it is, right?
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Be nice to have that view.
Nice what?
Be nice to have that view, obviously. But
yeah,
you're close still.
Yeah, moving stinks. Huge pain in the butt.
I agree. Okay, some sad news. Jonathan Clements, who writes for The Humble Dollar, also was at the Wall Street Journal forever, has written a number of books, penned a piece this weekend basically saying, I didn't feel so great. I went to the doctor. They told me I have lung cancer and maybe 12 months to live. And credit to him for writing this and saying, like, don't feel sorry for me. I'm not maybe at peace with it, but and he says, listen, I'm a healthy guy. I haven't smoked since 1987 or something. It's a thing that happens. And he's 61 years old, probably one of the most sober personal finance writers that there is. Yeah. And I think the biggest compliment I could give him is that there's a lot of times that he writes stuff where I'd go, geez, I wish I would have thought of that. I wish I would have written that. And just obviously very sad. And I traded some emails with him, and he seems to be in good spirits about it. And he's like, I don't want people to feel sorry for me. I'm going to, it is what it is kind of thing. I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. But I think this is hearing stories like this and dealing with stuff with this with friends or family members where this stuff happens. I feel like I'm hearing more and more of this with people where you just never know. And I think this is probably one of my biggest personal finance shifts in recent years is I'm not just going to save everything. I am like, if it's coming down to between like, should we spend this? Should we not? It's almost always for me going to be, yes, I'm going to spend it and enjoy it now. And I look back, 2021 to me was like a boom time for investing and saving. And I always chart how much I save each year, and I have kind of targets.
Of course you do.
And I feel like I got caught up a little bit in like, geez, everyone is investing in everything. And that year especially. And I feel like you and I together did some investments. And I look back and that was like the year that I saved and invested the most money. And there was part of that was probably pandemic related and pent up, whatever. But now I look back and I think like, I don't know. I'm going to continue to save up to a certain point. But after a certain level, I don't think it's worth it to continue saving anymore and just to have that money in the bank. I don't see the point of it anymore. That's the stage of life I'm in.
Yeah, I'm completely agree. I completely agree. So today actually marks the 13th anniversary of my mother's death. And that changed my life in many ways. One of the biggest ones was just like the incredible reminder of how short life can be and how fragile it is. And, it is cliche that tomorrow's not promised, but it's hard to live like that if you've never experienced like tragic loss. And so
it is weird.
It changes for me,
sure.
that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, but in some ways it's the best thing. And that might sound weird. I know Stephen Colbert did a bit about this, but it really is true that it has allowed me to just enjoy life to the fullest. And it's I don't know. I don't really know what else to say. It's a powerful like thing to think about. But
Yes.
Ben, to your immediate point, in terms of like you having that shift, I think that for a lot of people that can't make that shift, that are just natural warriors or whatever, what would have to happen for somebody like that to change their mindset about money? It's almost like I don't think anything could happen.
Yeah, and
oftentimes it's like a byproduct of like their childhood or something.
Yeah, the way you're brought up and personality, and I was like that too. I was always a big saver, and kids were the big change in my life that like knocked me out of that a little bit. Like no, like spend money on spending time and experiences with them, and enjoy that now because it's not going to last forever. That's the thing that like shook me out of it. To be like, no, you want to say yes to more things, and it doesn't have to always be spending money. It could be time, but
I'm definitely a spender. I think that I probably have a lot less money than I should, like net worth, but I just don't care. As long as you're being like reasonable and responsible and not, there's obviously a balance you have to find. Not like, oh, I could die any day, so I'm just going to blow everything. And,
right.
And YOLO, right? Like,
yeah, there's a balance.
But I don't think oversaving is healthy at all.
Yeah.
So I'm not
having
looking.
that. I just don't having that like that certain level. Like if I had this much in my portfolio, then like that doesn't impress me at all anymore. Like or it's not something I strive for to hit like a certain level.
Yeah. No, I'm all about spending. Spend. Enjoy your life.
Anyway, check out the piece on Humble Dollar. It's really well written for a difficult situation, and thoughts and prayers to Jonathan. He's a really good guy. I've traded emails with him over the years. He's always been very kind and very nice guy.
Yes. Yeah. Really sad news. Sam Rowe tweeted a chart from Bank of America. The 50 richest people in the world own wealth equal to the poorest 50% of the US. And this is at the root of so much negativity that we see everywhere.
How many of those people do you think are just like rich hedge fund people that no one even knows? Because a lot of the rich people, they are
on this list.
Yeah, like Elon Musk and Warren Buffett. People know them.
All of these people, you know who they are.
Okay, so
I mean, for the most part,
that makes sense.
But I think this is just another thing that social media has amplified, and not for the better, because a lot of these rich people, they didn't used to have a microphone. Like we didn't know all of their inner monologue, and now
the Rockefeller back then, no one really had any idea how much richer these people were than them.
Yeah, and now they're in your face, and I'm not just talking about Instagram, but like their thoughts about everything.
Yeah.
But a lot of the negativity just stems from shit like this.
Okay. That is a kind of a depressing chart when you look at it like that.
Yeah, the top 50 richest people in the world own wealth equal to the poorest 50% of the US.
So we've talked about the insurance crisis a lot lately. The Wall Street Journal had one out today, I believe, on insurance costs for condos. And they give some examples. They say board members of this Highland Park Community Association braced for rising insurance costs last year. They were shocked to receive a quote for over $170,000, which is more than 4 times what they paid in 2022. They say a lot of 12 issuers declined to even offer quotes because wildfire risk in California. This other place in Colorado said their policy went from $110,000 to $960,000. And they basically have to go to all these people that live in the condos and be like, listen, here's a one-time assessment, or your HOA fees are going way up. I guess this is the downside of a condo. Like having a condo has to be great in a lot of ways because like you just pay some money and people take care of everything, right? The common areas and the landscaping and the snowplow or whatever, if you're in that kind of area. But when it comes to this kind of thing, you're screwed, right? There's nothing you can do besides move. Like we talked about like the cost of owning a home last week. I feel like some of these association fees for like a condo or a shared space, like that's even worse when you actually like pool all together, right?
Yeah, rough.
Yeah, I'd be nervous if I was in one of those places in like California or Florida. I guess that those costs are just going to continue to jump.
What's this FBI thing? Did I put that there or did you?
You did, but I think it ties into last week when I said that crime decreases during bull markets.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah. So what?
That was
all
from the hitman.
So the FBI that's right. That's why I put it in here. The FBI just announced that crime has plummeted in the first quarter of 2024. This is from Kyle Griffin tweeted this. Murder decreased by 26%, rape by 26%, robbery by 18%. All right. That's good news, obviously.
Right. So the economy does well, crime goes down. That is, yeah. That makes sense.
All right, Ben,
we just Freakonomics that thing, didn't we?
We did. You had an experience in the gym?
Okay, so last week I was in the gym. I get out of the shower. I get ready to clean out. I head down in the gym guy, earbuds in. I work out. I don't really know anyone there. I don't talk to anyone. I did have one Animal Spirits listener.
Do you shower at the gym?
I tend to shower at the gym usually. I did have one experience with an Animal Spirits listener there. Said, hey, I'm listening to you right now. Yeah, thanks, man. But there was a guy in the locker room. And you know how you get on a plane sometimes and you just know like, oh no, this person's going to want to talk the whole plane ride. Like you just know those people. So this guy comes in and we're the only two in the locker room. And I swear it felt like you had paid this guy to like go have an uncomfortable small talk conversation with Ben for 10 minutes. He walks in and he goes, hey man, how's the workout? And I said, and I go, not bad. And he goes, what'd you do today? And I said, I don't know. I just lifted some weights, a little cardio. Trying my hardest not to have this conversation. He goes, and I'm sitting there in my towel, like trying to get dressed. And this guy is just, big smile. And he's a young guy. He does this for a living, it feels like, small talk. And he goes, so do you find that you feel better after you work out? And I'm like, is this guy doing a podcast interview with me right now? I don't. And proceeded to ask these kind of questions. I was listening to a podcast the other day and I'm like, I gotta get out of this. And so I was nice to the guy and cordial, but this is a guy who just loves small talk.
How did it end? How did it end?
I got dressed very quickly and have a good one, man. One of those. But this guy did remind me though. So there was a Smartless podcast with Arnold Schwarzenegger a couple months ago. And he said when he goes to the gym, he rides his bike to the Gold's Gym every day. He said it feels like his life is in black and white. And after he lifts weights, he comes out, everything's in color. And I feel like that is for me too. Whatever the endorphins or whatever you get from working out, like the good feelings, that's like meditation for me. Some people have to meditate to get their head in the right place. For me, it's working out. Like if I go a couple days without working out, I start getting ornery and annoyed.
All right, well, let me ask you this, because I hate working out. I hate every minute of it. The good feelings that you get, does that happen during the workout or after? Because I get the after. I do feel better after, but I hate doing push-ups. I hate all of it.
I guess I don't mind it, but for me, it's just like I have to get this done. And yes, and afterwards, it's like I feel better about myself.
Okay, so it's an after thing. You don't actually enjoy the act.
Yes, I don't. I don't enjoy drinking the beer. I enjoy the feeling the beer gives me after I drink it. How's that?
Good analogy.
That's what it is. But yeah, right, too much small talk. I couldn't handle it.
Yeah, no, that's a nightmare.
We got a million emails about the airline overbooking.
We did.
What's the summary?
I can't really summarize it. I guess I can. Let me just read it. This person works for an airline. I work for an airline that explicitly does not overbook. However, it can happen if there are cancellations and needing to move customers to other flights. Our network model is a little different, but with the hub and spoke model of your American, United, and Deltas, they have a couple of things at play. For one, they have a certain expectation of people who will late cancel or no-show, which leads to selling 78 seats in Michael's 74-seat model. The other thing at play is that you have a lot of connecting customers, especially when it's not a hub-to-hub flight. So when Ben is scheduled to fly Delta from Grand Rapids to, what's DTW?
Detroit.
Then to Charleston, and something happens to either his flight to Detroit or flight from Detroit to Charleston, Delta can put him on a flight through Atlanta or LaGuardia to get him there more or less close to when he originally planned. That opens up a seat and removes the blah, blah, blah. So he said, finally, there are always people who buy a ticket last minute and will pay top dollar. So the airline essentially acts as a broker. Airline brokers. Are there airline brokers? A broker scalper where the person who bought last minute will essentially pay for the voucher to have someone else taken off. Either way, there you go. So there's a bunch of factors at play.
Oh, interesting. So sometimes that voucher could be someone paying a higher value.
Yeah.
And then that payoff trickles down.
Yeah. 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 All right. There you have it. Thank you for everybody that emailed us. All right, Ben. I saw an incredible almost accident the other day. Bad drivers really are something, aren't they?
They're everywhere. And I feel like it's only getting worse.
All right, so there's a let me line this up for you. There's a main road called Merrick Road, and there's a gas station right before the entrance, the on-ramp onto a highway. So you could leave the lot and basically pull right onto the highway, okay? So Merrick Road, it's 2 lanes. So there's a person in the left lane who is about to move into the right lane to then get onto the highway. It's a very fairly common thing to do. You move from the left lane to the right lane to get onto the highway. The person exiting the parking lot, I guess, I don't know if they didn't look at all or saw that they were in the left lane and just thought, oh, I can go. But like without having the wherewithal to think, like, it probably was an out-of-towner. But either way, this is the amazing part. So she pulls out of the gas station. The person who was going from the left lane, moving to the right lane, like aggressively swerved back into the left lane, and then in front of her to like get onto the highway. So the person honked as was their right, like an aggressive honk, like what the fuck, like, right?
Yeah.
So I'm passing her and I see this is her reaction. Complete bewilderment. She had no idea what just happened, that she almost just caused a massive accident. The look on her face was priceless.
I'm surprised there aren't more accidents, to be honest. I see people staring at their phones in their car so often, just not paying attention, or to your point, just being a bad driver and not understanding.
It was unbelievable. She almost caused a massive accident. It was completely was in the
I get yelled at. I get yelled at by my wife quite a bit.
What?
I'm a honker. If someone does something bad and they cut you off or they do something, I don't mind giving a honk on the way by to be like, hey, just a reminder, you're a shitty driver.
Yeah.
I don't mind reminding people that. My wife is always like, why you can't honk like that? And I don't mind giving people a little honk just to let them know, like, hey, get better.
Well, if I could brag, and I know a lot of people think they're above average drivers, I'm not going to say that. I'm an above average courteous driver. I'm very courteous. So
people in.
My biggest pet peeve is when you stop and don't let somebody in, they don't give you the wave. That drives me nuts.
Of course.
But if I'm driving like a single lane and I'm making a left turn, I will purposefully pull over to the left as far as I can so that the person behind me isn't stuck. That's the type of driver I am.
So they can scoot by on the right.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm thinking about the person behind me in life and in lanes. All right, speaking about that, car dealership guy tweeted, slowest selling luxury brands right now. You want to guess without looking, or are you already looking?
We had Porsche or what?
No.
Okay.
But number one is not surprising because it's an interesting type of person. We're not here to judge people for what they drive. That's not what we do here. It's the Maserati.
Does Eric have a Maserati too?
I hope not. But let's be honest. The Maserati driver is a certain type of person. I'm not going to say what type of person. We'll just leave it at that. It's a certain type.
Okay. I haven't really. I don't really have a Maserati guy in mind here. But you think so?
It's a guy or a gal. So number one is Maserati. Number two, Alfa Romeo. To be honest, I'm not quite familiar with the profile of the Alfa Romeo driver. Is that a luxury car? Oh, I guess so. It just says luxury brand. Jaguar. Yeah, Jaguars. I feel like Jaguar's days are numbered, right? It had its time.
That feels like a very 90s car to me. Like Jaguars were that's like when you made it in the 90s.
But this goes to the point I was making earlier about brands coming in and out.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jaguar rebounds from here.
When we were growing up, BMW was the thing. If you had a BMW, you made it.
I think it still is. No, a little bit. It's still a top brand. I
feel like Range Rover has leapfrogged BMW.
How about this? I feel like luxury has sort of flattened because growing up, and I was a kid, so I don't really remember, but I feel like a luxury car was more rare than they are today. I feel like everyone drives a luxury car these days.
There are more luxury brands too.
But it's much more common to see,
yes.
And we spoke about this a lot, it's much more common to see somebody driving a $75,000 car today than it was when we were growing up.
Yes. And a lot of those $75,000 cars are driving to soccer practice or something, It's like the cars you drive with a family.
Rounding out the list, number 4, Infiniti, and number 5, Lincoln.
Lincoln is luxury brand? Just because McConaughey is the... I would have not put Lincoln in a luxury brand. No offense to Lincoln drivers.
Lincolns are nice cars.
All right.
The Navigator?
Jaguar and Maserati and Lincoln?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put those three in the same list.
All right, moving on to recommendations. Ben, Inside Out 2. I haven't seen it yet. Did you take the kids?
No, but they can't wait. I think my wife is waiting for a rain out summer day, no camps, and then take them. But my kids they've watched the original one 4 times in the last month to get prepared for this.
All right, so it was $155 million at the box office just in the US and Canada. That's the biggest opening weekend of the year, even ahead of Dune 2.
Very original concept, too. I love the Inside Out. It's really good.
Globally, it did $295 million. Second biggest behind. It's the biggest opening weekend in history for an animated film. Wait, this doesn't make sense. It says globally, Inside Out 2's haul is the biggest.
Yeah, it says in the U.S., Canada, it's the second biggest.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, there it is. You could read. Good job. Credit to you. All right, question though. Box Office Pro estimated that it was going to do between $85 and $115 million. I feel like these things are usually pretty good. How is it so far off?
Wow. Analysts were way off on expectations there, huh?
Way off. All right, Ben, here's a tweet. I thought Under Paris would be a jokey movie like Sharknado, but Twitter convinced me to give it a watch, and it's really quite good. The last 25 minutes were amazing. You know
who does this come from? No.
Stephen King.
Seriously? Wow. Okay.
How many times has he watched it?
My son has
week?
great taste. We haven't watched it in a while. He watched it like back to back when he first saw it, though. He's like, I'm going to run that back, watch it again.
Okay. So Ben, I'm catching up to Dark Matter.
Where you at? I just watched the last episode, and it's very good. And it's the rare one where I think the show is better than the book, and I really liked the book. I think they improved upon the book the way that they made it in the show, and I can't wait for the finale. Very good.
Oh, there's one episode left?
Yep, I just watched the 7th one last night.
Okay, so I'm on episode 5, so I'll be caught up to you next week. There's one scene that's not a spoiler at all, but there's one scene where one of the doors that they exit Chicago is the buildings are coming down.
Yep.
That felt like movie quality.
Yes,
Remember
I agree. Some of the worlds they go into, it's a very high quality show.
Very high quality.
For as ambitious as it is.
Also on Apple, Presumed Innocent, Jake Gyllenhaal.
I didn't watch yet. Worth it?
Oh yeah.
It's
Jake.
good. Okay.
Come on, it's Jake.
Okay. Are all the episodes out? Or are they slow?
No, so I don't. How do you feel about they release 2 episodes and then it's one a week? On the one hand, I do like having something that my wife and I could watch schedule because we don't have anything to watch together. But on the other hand, just let me binge.
Okay. So your wife's watching that one too?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't want to like follow the hater tag that I've been given this episode, but I only have 2 shows that I couldn't get into on Netflix. One of them is another book, 3 Body Problem. It's the same people who did Game of Thrones, apparently. I gave it 2 episodes and it didn't do it. I for some reason, it didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I feel like that sort of fizzled out. That was a dud.
Just okay. It wasn't bad, but it's just okay. And then the Shane Gillis show, The Tires.
It wasn't great.
It had like an Office feel to it, like the way that they shot it felt like The Office a little bit. It was okay. It didn't. I feel like I'm quicker to just
Well,
I'm out.
It didn't get better. It wasn't bad, but it certainly wasn't good. The reason why I stuck around, the episodes were like 24 minutes.
Yeah, it was quick, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe it made me appreciate what Seinfeld pulled off even more. Like just taking your comedy and trying to turn it into a show a little bit. And obviously, he had Larry David to help him, so that maybe that's not fair, but
so
it's hard to do. Because Shane Gillis is a funny guy, obviously.
I went from no shows to 4 shows. Between Presumed Innocent, Dark Matter, now The Boys is back, and House of the Dragon is back. Which is good because basketball is ending. Did you watch House of the Dragon?
Not yet. We went through a little bit of a lull there, but I will be getting into it.
Good Lord.
My weekends in the summer, I'm not going to be consuming as much content anymore. My weekends are in the summer. I'm away from the screen. I'm outside. I'm taking advantage of Michigan weather when it's nice.
Yeah. Smart. Same. All right. Ben?
Email? Check out the compound shirt, tropicalbros.com. Can also get an Animal Spirits one. Animal Spirits at thecompoundnews.com. We'll see you next time.